Welcome back, ladies and gents. Apparently it's the darkness and the light. I'm not sure who's who, to be honest, but we'll just get through it and crack through it, Potter. Our second map is coming up, and it's going to be Inferno, so things at least should heat up a little bit. At least you hope so for forZe, because if they play like that again, this could be over pretty quick.
Yeah, I have to agree with you. We need to see a little bit more, but the desk hit it in the nail in the head, I think. forZe, they should look a lot more comfortable coming onto this Inferno. It's the map that they always lean into most of their series. So definitely, I'm looking straight at Sexy Power and I'm looking at Flit. I think both of these guys, they had an okay Dust 2. They had some moments in there where they looked brilliant, but the consistency, I think that's the biggest question when we're talking about forZe. It didn't come through for them on Dust 2.
Yeah, I think that's a lot of fair points and assessments that you make. And another one that we kind of touched on, and they did mention this on the desk, it's quite top heavy over on Espada. You had Patsy was playing lights out CS, but Deemer and Finnegan were a little bit off the boil. So if Patsy and some of the heavy hitters aren't performing, they have a slow start. Well, there's some ways back in for forZe maybe. That slow start could definitely yield them a ton of rounds. Their choice of map, a map that they're pretty comfortable on, that could be their golden ticket towards our third important matchup here.
Yeah, no, definitely. But, you know, the fact that this is Inferno, we talked about on Dust 2 how polished that these guys on Espada looked, especially in those mid-round moments where they just really had to slow the round down and let forZe sweat it out. Inferno, it's the perfect map for those kinds of plays where you're just taking over one part of Banana, throwing some misdirection, making forZe sweat it out, and hitting a completely different site. So I think coming into this, forZe, they need to be a little bit more aware of what the rotations are going to be coming out for Espada.
And one of the strange aspects as well, when you look at the statistics of the first map, like obviously we've already waxed lyrical about the likes of Patsy, but when you look at forZe, their top fragger was Jerry. He was the top guy with the top rating, 1.09. You had Z Power down second bottom, Almeza, rock bottom, Flit around the middle of the pack. Like, these are sort of results that you're not expecting. And although Z Power did have some moments, some flutters of brilliance and what we know he's capable of, the stats that were being brought up don't lie. He's had a bit of a rough go of it lately. And if he doesn't have that layer of impact, and even if the likes of Patsy are having a bit of an off game, I'm not sure it really matters here, Potter. I think they need a drastic resurgence in some of these players to really take this game by the scruff of the neck and make it theirs. They need to make a declaration as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And, you know, we saw those movements coming out of those heavy hitters that you just mentioned on the other side for Espada. You saw Patsy being proactive. You saw Stockpick so many times just holding the line towards that mid. So you're right, for forZe, we absolutely need them to be able to hang with that sort of aggression coming out. And it's so weird thinking that forZe are the ones that are backing down in some of these instances. forZe are the players that aren't being as aggressive on the map in this online era. So definitely forZe, they're going through a bit of a different look, a different identity for themselves, I think. I'm not sure that it's the right answer, but it's definitely something they're working on.
Something else as well, a stat that often gets overlooked, but it's super integral to getting a stranglehold over a lot of rounds. When you look at the first kills, the game went 28 rounds. Espada had the first frag 19 times. 19 opening picks, and Sophic had 6 of them. So forZe have really got to have more impact in those early stages of the round, maybe take a bit of control, maybe obviously as they're likely to start on the T side with this being their choice of map, just try and get aggressive, try and put Espada off their comfort zone, because so many times on Dust 2, on both halves, CT or T side, it seemed like Espada just got set up pretty early, dictated the pace of the action. They played that slow, methodical style of T sides that forZe just never really seemed too comfortable with, and then they mixed it up and threw in a Hail Mary rush in there. And forZe just always seemed like they're a step behind. So I need to see that stat in particular be at least more neutral, at least more of a middle ground, and if not, forZe actually taking the lead when it comes to first picks.
Yeah, I'm totally on your side on that one, Vince. And when you think of Flit, when you think of FaceCrack, both of these players in circa 2019, they were the whole W crew. FaceCrack was always in your face, never backing down, very aggressive, and the space that he was able to provide for forZe is what made the rest of the crew look so solid. So coming into this Inferno, that's exactly what I'm looking for. The confidence, the aggression coming through for forZe. It does seem like Espada, we've seen on Dust 2, they've been having an answer through and through.
So forZe on the T side, as we expected, we'll have to deal with Espada, and it's the Julies, the classic. We're seeing this picked up more and more as time goes on. It is such a devastating weapon up close in these pistols. It does put them to down just to put 2 players over on A side, which will be Dexter and Sophic. They're both clumped together around the pit, but it seems like forZe may be falling for this trap. Deema will have the first point of call, but they white swing, they check their angles, and they come out ahead with all 3 frags. Patsy, Deema, and Finnegan can do nothing.
And that was off the back of a missed pop flash from forZe as well. None of the members from Espada were blind at all there, so some missed opportunities for them. I thought that the raid boss and Patsy was going to have himself around there. A nice pick off from Sophic, face crack. Surely this is the blade coming out. Oh, surprise! There we are. 2 kills from face crack. And just a simple B-pop coming up from forZe. I don't know that forZe expected the round to go quite as easily in their favor as it did, but those dualies, he just got picked off a little too early, I think.
Some great aim by Almeza, and face crack will be feeling a little bit hard done by. I'm sure he was thinking about pulling out the knife and getting a little bit more money. I think we have had a player drop from Espada, unfortunately, so may take a few more seconds to get into the action here. Deema and Finnegan combined did less damage and had fewer kills than Patsy on map 1. Considering that the 2 of them, I think, had 19 kills collectively, I can't say I'm too surprised at that, Potter. So it just goes to show again that Patsy was a man on fire. I think we do have all the players now back on the server, and we're ready to roll again.
Yeah, Deema, I remember Deema earlier on in this year in May. He stood in for Spirit in an insane series where Spirit were absolutely postured to win that one out versus FaZe at DreamHack Masters. And even in that one, it didn't seem like Deema was the type of player to provide, 30 kills per map. He was absolutely the player that kind of filled in the gaps and made sure that the superstars on the squad had everything they needed in the rounds to be set up for success. So I think Deema, as long as he's doing his due diligence and going through the motions of his responsibilities, the other players in Dexter, in Patsy, these guys will definitely shine. He's a little bit blind. Jerry, I mean. Yeah, just a little bit.
Fortunately, no aggression behind it, so won't be too dismayed by that confrontation. Smoke now put down from Sophic. He is holding B alone, but Deema is close enough proximity to help him out with the Deagle. And considering that this is a full-on investment for Espada and there's only 45 seconds and Patsy is making moves behind them, this is a round that could get out of control really soon. It may come down to timing. Patsy's picked off the first. There was a player that moved round towards second mid, that's Z-Power, who should have him dead to rights, but a lot of time has been put down as a result. Bomb picked up, and now they're traversing over onto the A side of the map. Espada desperately trying to hold on to this, but they're moving into the crosshairs of Z-Power, who sprays in for 1, but no more behind it. They have smoked off the brackets that forces the CTs out into an awkward position. Deema was looking for information. He's gathered it, and now they know the bomb is going down. There were a few moments in this round, Potter, where it seemed like Espada would steal it away, but I think it may have gone too far now.
Yeah, things got so close. Man, if he got that smoke down just a second earlier and maybe slipped past that flank in alt mid, he could have made even more happen, but that timing, you're right. Whew. Things could have gotten way out of hand for forZe, but good recovery for them. And once again, good response to hit A quickly. Fast reactions, and you saw it. Once that happened, Espada defenses, they were just scrambling to make something happen. But that's one of those things about Inferno, and especially when we're faced off against both of these 2 aggressive CIS teams, they do not shy away from taking over that map control. So I wouldn't be surprised if we see a lot more of that coming through in this Inferno. Just CTs and Viet Cong and Ts and CT spawn. Both players just swapping on the map. But here we are. Another save for Espada. No flashes to help them this time.
They do have a UMP, an AK, though, at their disposal, and 2 players with Kevlar. So they're always into this round. Flick gets both. Oh, that flick onto Patsy was beautiful. And there's another one. 3 kills in quick succession, shutting down the round single-handedly. And they can push onto A as a result of that. It does allow Dexter maybe the opportunity to still retain his AK come the end of this round. But it should read 3-0 in favor of forZe in this full Russian exchange. Every bit as close as we anticipate on this second map, at least. I mean, it was pretty close in part on Dust 2, until eventually Espada stood up their level significantly, and forZe have a good read of the situation. They want to make sure that there are no weapons left available to Espada come this second round, but Dexter is doing so much damage with the AK. Could be another one coming in. The softened target of Almeza will stand his ground, and with 10 HP, lives to fight through to the next one and denies Dexter the AK-47.
And I even love the fact that we had a B exec coming out in a post-plant scenario from the T's onto the B bomb site. Things are looking good. I just like the fact that forZe, they didn't leave anything to chance, and they make sure they get that AK out of Dima's hands. Dexter's hands, rather. And now Dexter, he's got that AWP. Oh, that's just a leg shot onto Finnegan. Exapower definitely had an opportunity there, and all the meanwhile, FaceCrack, he got taken down over towards that alt mid.
Sotfik did spot the Orpra of Z-Power just protruding around the corner, so smoke has been deployed. Could be some counter grenades coming in sooner rather than later. They still maintain the MAC-10 for a bit of run and gun approach. Now with a weakened Finnegan and Dexter, they cannot take anything for granted. Tons of grenades coming down. Jerry running into the flames, running into the fire. Has been put down from his teammates. He's still alive, but he can't quite finish off the frag. And Sotfik punishes him, spins around on a swivel, takes his head clean off, and now a trifecta's been established on the site. Crossfire is so good for the CTs, and they may get out of this round with minimal casualties. If they only lose 1 player come the end of it, that will be good enough. 2 is a little bit more costly. But now they just have to make sure that they secure the round. The smokes are about to fade, and that will allow Dexter to pick off Flit if he's not careful. Smoke stays up a little bit longer than anticipated, and now Flit with the bomb could maybe try and fake it and draw one of these CTs out into the open. See if he can still claim this round yet. He's going to be careful and check all these angles, making sure he gives himself the best possible chance at taking at least 1 more weapon away. Oh. And there it is. Dexter loses his life. Flick going for the full plant. Hasn't been peaked. Hasn't been peaked from Espada. They've allowed him the free plant. Now they're allowing him the luxury of moving away from the crime scene. This plays into Flick's hands. Not only could he pull off a 1v3, but it could be the ace on top of it. And Espada, who desperately required this round, will get it. But it's a great cost, Potter. Way too much cost for them to be comfortable.
Wow, from the start to the end of this round, it was close. Vince, you're absolutely right. I think Sotfik surviving there in that back hall towards that construction area early on was everything for Espada. You saw it. Who was it? Jerry or FaceCrack with that MAC-10 almost finding the opening, but man, you know, either way, this is a W for forZe. Flit, he did just enough, only 1 remaining survivor. The money is tight. All those kills, they're gonna absolutely come into play later on in this half when Espada's money gets closer.
Tricky little smoke allows Dexter to peek around the corner. And you spot on, it was Jerry with the aggression that last round with the MAC-10 who nearly got the pick onto Ruins and then was just spun on instantly and lost his head. He'll be focusing on the present now, though, and that will see him down on the T steps. He could be the first player that peeks into Dexter's AWP. If there's no flash preceding this peek, it could be to his detriment, but they do flash it out, and they force back the AWPer. This also forces Dima's hand to come in and rotate prematurely, and to try and help his teammate out here. Dexter's had multiple chances, but multiple flashes landing in his eyes, and forZe doing such a good job of cracking their way out, forcing and bullying away the AWPer. And although the spray of the FAMAS looked good, it didn't quite finish off Almeza. What a strange round this has been, and they're already pulling the plug to save.
Oof. A lot of opportunities, as you say, Vince, but those missed shots eventually. Allow the B site to fall. Oh, and Dexter even going down. That's going to hurt. I think Finnegan's got to go back for that AWP. Dexter, he would have definitely wanted to survive in that moment. Flit. He's even got them trapped down. The question is, do forZe push for even more here? And Jerry says absolutely.
A bit risky because the economy of forZe isn't ideal either. They must realize if they were to lose a ton of weapons, it could do more harm than good. So they seemingly settled for a bit of a stalemate at the end. But I agree. I'm a bit surprised that Dexter even waited around there for that long because the rest of his team pulled the plug a good 10-15 seconds before he died. And there was a smoke up that could have afforded them the luxury of pulling out.
Definitely going to want to replay that one if you're Dexter. Some unfortunate misses, but at the same time, forZe are just doing such a fantastic job not making things easy for Dexter. It's not just a normal old deathmatch session coming through. forZe are putting in the flashes, they're putting down the Molotovs, the smokes, and they're jumping around each corner and making sure that no matter what, the trade is going to be there or the shot is going to be as difficult as possible for Dexter. So even though we've seen some incredible flicks coming out for him, not this time, not in that round at least. So a broken buy coming out for Espada. They've got some money left in the tank. But Dexter with the deagle, potentially an opening, but Jerry, he's going in. Not slowing down, not stopping, but all that damage. forZe have taken so much damage early on into this round, and Finnegan is even pushing through.
2 kills. Just before Finnegan pulled the trigger onto Z-Power, they got a secondary frag, and that was Patsy, who shut down Jerry. So that aggression, that no-cares-given approach through middle has done way more damage to forZe than they were hoping for. And now Dima is going to try and take this opportunistic moment to crack right down the spine of forZe again. That back-breaking moment. Flit trying to get them back into this round, and he'll get himself 2 for his troubles, make it a 3rd. Maybe he can spin around for a 3rd, but oh, it's so unfortunate timing. He switches weapons just as Dexter peaks, and wouldn't you know it, Potter, one of the worst buys that Espada have had, just with save weapons, and they make it work.
Scrappy, scrappy game, Vince. It's happening. Inferno, we love it. We love it when it gets this close. We don't love it so much when the Pistols win, but, you know, I think this late into 2020, a lot of these teams have just kind of accepted the fact that shit happens when you party naked. So they go on and they lose that eco. And look at forZe. They are working with scraps. Exapower, he's got the AWP, but hardly anyone's got utility. It's only Flit and FaceCrack that have things to work with. Sopic, he goes for an aggressive angle. Nobody was blind. Flit was completely ready for it. And Dima, this is his moment, but he just gets traded out instantly. This is a repeat of Pistol. 3 members of Espada holding down the fort of top B, going for the duels, but just getting annihilated. forZe completely healthy, and they have all of the B-bomb site for themselves.
Was some exquisite counter utility that was tossed in from forZe, and Espada effectively, even though there were 3 of them at top banana, they pretty much faced 1v1s. Like, it was a really strange divide and conquer approach where Espada never really felt like they're on the same page. Some of it was facilitated by forZe's excellent flashes and incendiaries, but there definitely was a feeling of a disjointed approach from Espada as well. So I'm curious what they come back with going through in the future rounds, because forZe have had a lot of success on banana already. We're only 7 or so rounds through come the end of this detonation, with forZe taking a 5-2 lead, and it already feels like they found out the weakness. They found out the part of the map where they need to keep exploiting.
Yeah, and I'm glad you mentioned those, the 1-by-1 peeking out B. I wonder if this was a case of they thought the flashes were working, but in fact they just weren't. But no, I don't even know that I see flashes. I just see Dima wide swinging at Car there. Really odd. Either way, they will be able to actually have probably one of the strongest buys into this round that they have had all first half. And once again, we see 3 defenders top B. They don't want to give up this fight top banana, Vince.
Yeah, they know how it ends. They've already seen the ending multiple times. They want to change it up, and they've done a lot of damage, but they need to do something with this. We've seen them get the early incursions go in their favor, and then suddenly a couple of entry frags come in, and everything just falls apart again. Incendiary is good, forces away Sotfik from the rest of the troops. They've done enough to stall and stagnate this push, and now Espada realize they don't have enough utility to overstay their welcome. They've done a good job of wasting a good 30 or so seconds. forZe have no control elsewhere over the map. For all they know, Espada are playing aggressively, and now these off angles are being assumed. The 1-for-1 may not be good enough for Espada, though. They've got to tread very lightly, and there's still tons of time for forZe to change their tune if they so choose.
And also, both of these B defenders are completely out of nades now. The last smoke has been used. And Dima trying to get that attention onto himself so that Patsy finds an opening, but he peeks a little deeply and gets punished by Flit. Patsy's good for the trade, but once again, both these players just going for 1-for-1. You mentioned it early, Vince. That's always going to favor the attacking side. So Espada's defenses, it falls. 2 versus 3 post plant, and Exapower just finds an easy picking onto Finnegan. Oh, he does get traded out though. Doesn't matter. Dexter, he gets taken out in the end. Once again, forZe are forcing themselves into these post plant scenarios, winning out the top B duel that's happening, and it's just making it look easy for themselves whenever they get the bomb down. So I think these crossfires, or whatever game plan that Espada have brought into the last 3 rounds in particular, it's punished them. It's kind of done a 180 and landed back into their faces. So would like to see a pause or something coming out for Espada to get themselves back into this match.
I agree. I actually think that in the next rifle round we may see a tactical timeout deployed, or at least I hope we do. If they're going to go for these 3 players top banana approach and try and starve out the push, obviously we're just kind of talking over this, it's just pistols. And I say just pistols, I should remember that one of Espada's 2 rounds did come off the back of pistols, so we definitely can't write them off. But if they're going to go for this heavy banana presence, I'd like to see them get aggressive in apps as well, so they can at least kind of tease and threaten that quick rotation through middle. Dexter had chances, he'll be disappointed. A player of his caliber should be connecting one of those shots. And that could have put forZe into an awkward position. As it stands, though, Patsy is stuck in mini pit with just the USP by his side. How he wishes he had a P250 or a 5.7, which the rest of his teammates have. However, he's been gift-wrapped an AK, and that's the bomb as well. But FaceCrack will do his best to make sure that that 1 kill doesn't turn into any more, that the bloodshed has been stalled. Sotfik taking damage through the smoke. That likely is the end of the round, and it should be forZe taking a 7-2 lead. But do we get that tactical timeout called that we're both hoping for? I guess we'll have to wait out and see how the next 10-15 seconds go after the end of the round.
I've seen so many of those rounds play out where a big pit player with a USP gets a surprise kill. Oh, okay, this is 200 IQ. I love that. How did he even notice that AK up there? Can he get it? Oh! Surely this one. Oh, that's so nice. How did he notice the AK up there, Vince?
Got to be a chameleon, right? Eyes in the back of his head. That's quite the find, isn't it? Maybe just assuming or watching those demos from forZe, realizing that's a tell of something they do often. But yeah, that's impressive. However, it's all well and good saving an AK, Potter. They need to actually start doing something on this CT side.
Yeah, it does look like that pause isn't going to come through here, but as long as they don't send 3 top B, I'm okay with it. Okay, so it looks like it's just going to be the 2 top B, the AWP coming out from Dexter, going for that mid-peak, but doesn't give the opening to Exapower. And Jerry, because the early nades didn't come out from Espada, he has full B control, top B.
Team is alone. He needs help. That's why he's put the smoke down early to try and buy up a little bit more time. Right idea with the spray through the smoke, nearly perforating in for a kill and piercing in to force back forZe, who have been so deadly on these B hits. And through the smoke, through the coffins, Patsy has been suppressed. However, the cavalry has arrived. Dexter missing another shot. Needs to start landing some of these. There we go. That's more like it. And Dima on the cross will cull Almazer. Bomb gets dropped in an awkward position. It's hard to see how Z-Power can fight himself back into this. The slight off angle. Dexter wasn't up on the coffins, instead towards the side. And it's one of those situations as well, Potter, where often we will kind of rattle off the stats and we'll say, oh, this player only has 1 kill and this many deaths. But Jerry is doing such a good job for his team, even though he only has 2 frags. You're seeing him taking the point, going up Banana time and time again alone, getting so much information, drawing so many grenades out from Espada. And even though he's not getting tons of kills, he's having a lot of impact.
Absolutely. And being the in-game leader, he can totally call around his own intuition like that. You saw it didn't work out this time, but the fact that Jerry immediately identifies that there's not 3 players B this time, he doesn't see all the normal utility that he saw the past 3 rounds. So he just takes the initiative to take over that top B with barely any utility. Now, again, it didn't work out, but those kinds of spidey senses, those sorts of game sense reads, that's what makes or breaks this forZe team. And it looks like Jerry, he's got a good read right now, but Passy buys some time by throwing that Molotov top mid, and it actually does quite a bit of damage.
Face crack gets singed down to 52 HP. We haven't really seen Espada have to hold the line often on A. Typically when they've lost players middle or even B, the first time that I can remember 5v5, and now A is being pressured on. Good flashes though tossed in. Patsy with 1 gets flanked by Flit. And Sopvik, a slight gap in the smoke. I don't think he's going to be able to exploit that. Checking all their angles, making sure that none more of Espada reside on the site. They now feel comfortable knowing that's not the case, and they force them away for another save. Whatever happens from this point forward, forZe will lead at half-time. And now any extra rounds are a nice juicy bonus on top.
A nice juicy bonus, you say, Vince? Things are looking much better for forZe right now in this first half for Inferno. You know, we were talking about it on Dust 2, perhaps a bit of a slow start for forZe. This time, we're seeing a lot more of a loose play, and we're seeing fantastic calling from Jerry right now on the T side. The pace that he just changed up in coming into this round, it's been B all along. For the past 3 rounds, they've been applying that pressure, and even last round, getting into the bomb site almost dry with Jerry buying that space for free. This time, it's immediately onto that A. And the defenses for Espada, they just are not ready for it.
Espada had 14 to forZe's singular flash assist on Dust 2.
Wow.
That is quite the difference.
That's so weird, especially because Dust 2, you just kind of chunk all your flashes long A, and you just inherently kind of get the flash assist even if you're not trying to. So that is odd. But either way, we're coming into this round now. And Dexter taking another deep angle, and he's actually going to walk down mid for more into the second mid. And oh, what a nice pickup, a nice find for Dexter. But man, Exapower responding right back, finds an opening towards that top B and Sopvik. He does get away, but he's going to stay for more. That's his mistake. Gets taken out by Cherry, and it's all down to Patsy. The lone man double naded even. And forZe, they're okay with this. Even though they're low, they have, once again, that top B control. We've seen them in this scenario before. Dexter, he's pushing down to alt mid. I think Almazer just heard that. You can see he's reacting even. A run boost is coming through. Dexter, the flick! Oh, he gets punished out, and that should be the tell for forZe that the A site, it should be clear. You see it on the minimap. Almazer's running through. Jerry even has the insurance card, and it's all down to Finnegan.
I love the idea again from Espada, but it just seems like the second that they're successful, they collapse elsewhere. And you know what the crazy stat is as well coming into this round, Potter? Even though Espada have been trailing hard in this game, 8-3 right now, and I know the HLTV is a little bit behind with the delay. That is the bomb, actually. They need to take it away. They got 30 seconds. They got enough time now. But going through into the 10th round, Espada actually had more opening picks on this map than forZe did. even though they are trailing this hard in terms of rounds. That is absolutely bananas to me. Finnegan's still in this round, though. He's put himself in close enough proximity, but Z-Power with the AWP will silence him another time. 9-3.
Yeah, that is odd, Vince. I mean, you mentioned those opening kills. We even saw that. You said it on Dust 2 as well. So definitely this time around, you can see the comfort of Inferno and forZe. I mean, just immediately right then, Almazer, he heard the scope. These guys are reacting immediately. And when you see the individuals just calming so well and cleanly and almost to that instant reaction, those are all really good signs. That's the signs of a team that's looking comfortable. So for forZe right now, they're starting to heat up, Vince. They're definitely starting to heat up, and we're not quite seeing as much impact from the heavy hitters, the top heavy team in Espada, in Dexter, in Petsy. These guys aren't having the crazy CT defense that we saw on Dust 2.
So many grenades, so much shrapnel has been swiveled in down Banana. Double nades actually finalized Almazer and put Z-Power and Jerry into an awkward position, but they're taking the mantle, taking the initiative and ramming their way through arches, wrapping around the side, tapping in, but Dexter actually gets the better of FaceCrack. He'll feel like he should have had that one done. Yeah, and it's the pistols again here, Potter, that have proved to be maybe the strongest suit for Espada, but they're not done just yet. Even though Dexter did thread the headshot beautifully onto Flip, Z-Power was there to deal with him. 5-7 opens up. Z-Power's down to 19 HP, and he knows his days are numbered. Down he goes, and they should be able to get their hands on that AWP as well. So Espada may be able to finish this half in winning ways. They actually elect to go for the double AKs instead. Makes perfect sense to me. And if they can end this 9-6, I mean, maybe this game is still open for debate.
It's crazy scenes right now, Vince. 50% of the rounds that Espada have on the board are won off the back of eco rounds. So it's not the best signs moving forward, but it's some sort of signs nonetheless. At least they're willing to get down and dirty in those eco rounds. And Sophic, that's a nice pace of change, a change of pace rather. Finding the opening pick down Banana. We haven't seen the double up coming out yet for Espada. And that just gives a lot of breathing room. I say that, but FaceCrack is at the end of the top apartment with a MAC-10. He's already rushing out.
Great pick again. Dexter's feeling it now. Definitely shifting through the gears, but so is Almazer. FaceCrack spraying in with a MAC-10, a must-win round for Espada. They desperately need this, and all the trades are going against them. Where did this round come from? Espada were 5v3, in the advantage, in the ascendancy, with only one round away from breaking forZe before the halftime. I said maybe they could end this half 9-6. Well, now it's looking like it could easily be 11-4. How things have changed.
Oh, man, and they changed so fast within that round. And that's one of the great things of being in a position where you've been a team longer than your opponent has, or you've been a team that's been through the tiers of Counter-Strike a little bit longer. So for forZe, they've been in these positions quite a bit, and they're able to swing back, even being down 3 versus 5, as you mentioned. Banging it out, trading it out at A. And they look good in those post plants.
Nice work by Almazer as well. Take nothing away from him. Espada will have double ups again. Both their AWPers in the previous round got opening picks very quickly. Again, I go back to that statistic. Espada have had more opening picks in this half than forZe have. forZe been playing from behind time after time, and yet they still have double digits already with a chance to extend their lead to 11-4. MP9 on Finnegan, just one kit between the 5 of them. They've certainly prioritized firepower over their utility count. Will it prove to be the correct decision? They've given up apps control again, and forZe already breathing down their necks as a result of it.
FaceCrack once again. This looks like a waterfall out palace. This time not a MAC-10 on the back of FaceCrack, but this flash, it doesn't catch Patsy. He's able to punish, but the trades, it's not coming through. I say that, and then Flit shows up. Flit already equalizing things. It's a 3v3, but there's two members of Espada in the A site. The MP9 doing so much work.
It's so scrappy. How is Z-Power still alive? He's got enough time to switch over to his AK as well, and he knows that Patsy is stuck on the boxes. Patsy is only a bullet away from death. Changes his tune, but Sophic with the AWP silences him. At least Espada end in winning ways. They're going to need a break alongside us to figure out what the hell to do in this second half. From 9-0, Gambit on the B stream are mounting a pretty spectacular comeback. If you want to tune into the B stream, then by all means. But if you want to hang out with me and Potter here for forZe and Espada in our second map, then stay tuned. Espada, after winning Dust 2 fairly convincingly in the end, it was far from that on their first half. They really did struggle. But now on the T side, where Banana was such a hotly contested area of the map, they look to play a little bit more passively here, Potter. Now 3 players up there on forZe.
We had a dually for Patsy last time. We've got a CZ for Jerry this time. And, oh, a big pick off Jerry. A lot to do. Finds 1, finds 2. And he's got the backup of Almazer as well. The reload comes through, and Jerry, he's doing a lot of work. 3 there. I'm sure they would want more, but a 2v2 retake with extra power on this fast flank, it might be just enough. It looks like Espada are going to get that bomb down. They've got a Molotov on their back. But man, FaceCrack just lays out Dexter. It's all down to Finnegan and that Molotov to make this happen. FaceCrack, it looks like he's got a good idea of where Finnegan's going to be. The smoke even goes down, but this Molotov, Exapower's burning alive. He's not... He gets off the bomb, but this buys Finnegan time. Holy.
He's playing it perfectly as well. He has to go back out. There's a smoke put down there, but there's no kit. Z-Power has to stick on the site. And Finnegan's probably just won the round. He doesn't even need to kill everybody. What a round from Finnegan. That Molotov was perfectly placed and forZe could not get it done. That is going to be heartbreaking.
That is heartbreaking, especially with all the work that Jerry put down. What a stark difference that we saw. I guess CZ is just better than Dualies, at least in this case. But man, I like the way that Finnegan played it too as well. You know, so quick. As soon as he released that Molotov, he immediately makes it out towards that ruins and it just completely catches him off guard. Freebies for Finnegan and he'll take those all day. Exapower though, he does provide some damage and I thought he was going to get that second kill as well. Exapower, he's feeling good right now. Keeps looking for more picks for himself.
Funnels Espada into an awkward stack that's being put down. Smokes and mollies being exchanged to try and allow Espada their trajectory forward. Good counter flash is popped in. Jerry with his CZ again. There's actually a kill in amongst all of that, but Flip's gone down. I thought maybe he was the ace up the sleeve that they could rely on, but he gets cartwheeled into his carnage, and now Espada post-plant looking good to secure a 7th. But Potter, I could hear you as well in the background there. You were anticipating that we were about to see something special.
I saw it happening. I thought for sure Flit was about to destroy them. But we've been talking about Dima a little bit, the impact that he's been providing. It hasn't been so much on the scoreboard. But right then, you know, he's calm, cool, collected, holding his teammates back and just holding that smoke for some sweaty angle. And he's rewarded for it, man. He just saves all of them. As we're talking, FaceCrack is able to get himself a Galil. He's a dead man. So it doesn't matter, but good economical damage at least coming through for forZe. And they'll want a repeat of exactly just that coming into this one. Just doing some damage onto the economy of Espada, making them second guess themselves and not allow them to just freely come through and get themselves money and free eco kills. That's exactly what Dima is going to want to do with that Mac 10 on his back.
Conservative start again. Espada taking systematic control over Banana, and Z-Power passes a bullet between that Mac 10 wielding Dima that you just highlighted. He will not be getting any bonus of cash. And hold the phone for a second, because forZe may be even able to take this round and make it theirs. They've softened up Dexter. They've softened up Finnegan. And Espada dropping the bomb down in Banana takes them a little bit longer to retreat. They are now in range of these pistols. forZe could have just got this round and made it theirs.
And FaceCrack. He's going to hear a bunch of noise cues here. Oh, man. Espada, they're in such a tough position. Dexter is low. Finnegan is low. At least they have a bunch of utility and the upgraded weaponry. But FaceCrack, he's going to go sniffing some more. Peeking down mid. And this is interesting. forZe are still completely stacking towards B. It's only FaceCrack right now sniffing around for the intel for some hopeful free information. But man, Espada, we've got 40 seconds left on the clock. 3 of them alive, but they are in their T spawn right now, Vince. They've got nothing in this round.
I think they've already decided to save here.
Yeah.
I think they realize just how tentative this round is. So, especially with FaceCrack's positioning, he's waiting to hear some sound cues, a potential A hit. This is a really difficult one to justify for Espada. It's like, guys, we know that we had the massive advantage coming through into this round. Not only have we lost it, they haven't even killed a single forZe player, Potter. Like, that's outrageous.
Oof.
Not a single casualty.
That's definitely rough. And man, Exapower having himself around. Just so much damage and the kills to come through. Oof. And if Exapower is starting to heat up on the CT side, when that AWP gets into his hands, that's just going to make things a lot more difficult for Espada. And Exapower, he's not going to stop. He's just going for more and more with that scout.
Molly has been extinguished over on Banana. forZe doing a much better job of keeping Espada at bay. Was a consistent hotbed of failure when Espada on the CT side. It's kind of crazy to look at the scoreline of 11-7 and think of how dominant forZe were for the mid to late portion of that first half. The fact that Espada are even close goes to show the importance of those pistol rounds. But Patsy has gone in, finds Jerry, gets the second, and they smoked off Flit, who can't really do anything but watch. As the sight falls around him, Z-Power is actually tagging through the smoke, nearly finishes off Sotfik. But in this post-plant, I can't really see forZe fully going for this. And to make matters worse, Finnegan actually on the other side of the map is playing this one super slowly. He's waiting to find out if he can maybe take down a player or two when they look to save, but FaceCrack's bypassed him with the MAC-10.
Oh man, Jerry, the timing with the trajectory of his smoke just completely gives up his position, and Patsy reading it like a book. But to even follow up with the second kill to entry into the site, that's something special. So Patsy was the biggest heavy hitter on Dust 2 on the first map. If he starts to heat up, coming on to the T side of things, that's exactly what Espada need to start putting some more rounds on the board. Because as you say, Vince, that first half looked so dominant for forZe, coming through at a 10-5 T side, but all of a sudden, things are just, they're getting close. They're getting real close right now.
I think you see the issue when a team that was so aggressive and dictated the pace of the action then has to go through on the more static CT side. That Espada can now pick the fight. They can now basically enforce their will. Z-Power, though, good pick onto Dexter and decides to go back in for seconds and nearly reaps the reward. Flashes are good, though. Counter flash is also tossed in. But forZe, with a healthy purchase, taking minimal damage from these HEs. And in the meanwhile, Espada are struggling. Now, they have taken a bit of control over towards Arches. They can maybe pivot off this to hit A, but forZe still have two players over here.
Some Galil on Galil violence about to go down towards that arch side. But Almazer, he's got backup. That smoke, ooh, Flit. What a flashbang to just help him out, and that should be a traded kill. Almazer coming through that smoke. FaceCrack, he's got all the help he's going to want coming through. But he goes down really early. Doesn't matter. It does seem like this should be a forZe round. The bomb is down into the site, and Passy's going to try to pick off Almazer, but he's already rendezvoused back up with his teammates. Exit power, sorry.
It's where maybe Patsy isn't necessarily playing to win. He's just playing to make this hurt as much as possible. Now he's put himself in a good enough position to potentially take this round out, but the timing works against him as Almazer peeks him from balcony. And forZe, the Vikings, they start to steamroll their way towards a third important map.
That was a very important round for forZe to win. I do think Exit Power dying at the end there will make things a little more difficult coming to this round than it needed to be. As you can see, Jerry, he's working with scraps, just the MP9 on his back, but Espada are worse for wear. A Galil and a Deagle, and not full utility either. And Dima just going down through the smoke. Definitely makes things a little more difficult here.
Yeah, the key difference for me here, Potter, has just been how the two teams have really postured over Banana on their CT sides. Espada looked hopeless. They looked lost at sea. And forZe have consistently, even when they've lost rounds, they've had the early sort of grenade damage go in their favor. They've had the better of it when it comes to flashbangs. Espada are struggling. They need to start to get some big entries, and instead, they're on the receiving end of a battering. It's FaceCrack again. Patsy's had a bit of a slow game as of yet, after going thermonuclear on Dust 2. He's forced into an awkward position where he kind of wanted to go for a peek, but his teammates are nowhere near him. The bomb's back towards the spawn, and Espada are hoping that maybe some pushes come in, and I think, again, they're opting to pull the plug and just save.
Whoa.
The second time.
That's bizarre. I don't know how many Inferno T-side 3-man saves and T-spawn we've seen, Vince, but it's definitely not normal. Espada definitely having second guesses on their game plan right now, or not coming up with a solid one that they can fully buy into. And forZe doing a good job just holding them back. This B defense, it's been holding strong. We've had Power coming through with the scout over there or the AWP. Espada failing that mid-contact play they just tried as well. So they're losing the top B and they're losing the apartment top mid fight as well. Coming into this one, ooh, they're broke, Vince. 2 of their members are broke. 3 members have guns. I'm surprised we didn't see a timeout being called. Maybe they had a lot of time to talk about things while they were holding up in T-spawn and they've just decided to oh, okay. Power gets deleted. Oh, things are turning around once again, Vince. We've got a crazy game on our hands.
Really do. And another round where Espada, you don't really expect them to do much, if anything, but forZe almost shooting themselves in the foot by their aggressive plays. Like down towards logs, you don't check the angle, you're just basically a freebie. Lots of grenade damage, double nades doing damage enough to yield the kill onto Dima. Dexter answers back before he's silenced. Now Finnegan looking for the plant, looking to at least tick the economy forward. He doesn't have any weapon. He's actually only got a Glock still, even with a bunch of players all around him. But Almazer on 33 HP, a Glock headshot would finalize that kill. How were the peaks coming in? Doesn't matter. Almazer with the AK holds the line, and forZe will take a 14-8 lead. Espada in trouble again.
Oh man, that crouch peek deagle kill onto Power top mid was so dirty. I thought Espada were gonna come out with some crazy eco. I felt like they kind of deserved to win an eco round, especially considering the trend that we've been seeing with them, but a good response from forZe. That's not fair.
Ridiculous. Absolutely ridiculous.
Flit happens.
That's
Flit
a rough
had, yeah, that's a rough one. That's a rough one. Flit had more kills in the first half of Inferno than Finnegan and Dima had in the first map and a half. So definitely, that's good news, especially considering that Flit is coming in still hot of this one, 21-13. forZe are up 14-8. I love it and I hate it, Vince. I love it because it's great. I hate it because it's so damn streaky. But when forZe individuals, when Power and Flit, when they start to feel themselves, it's just a whole nother ball game for this forZe side. They look like a different looking team. They are in complete control right now, and Sotfik just biding his time behind this Molotov. Power is waiting for him, but Almazer's got the backup plans with the flashbangs, and oh, that boost completely catches Power off guard, and Jerry's gonna try to have a response, double flashes for him, but Espada, they're waiting behind that smoke.
Good smoke, but a grenade does the damage they needed fatally to Dima. Sotfik softened up forZe. Only 2 players over on the A side, but they're taking some control over Banana, so they can't even retreat over one of those players, but it's Dexter with the SG that goes in for the insta-headshot and then doubles up onto Flit. Will feel like he should have done better. Had more than enough opportunities. Finnegan is watching the cross. He's waiting and anticipating this play comes into fruition. And although forZe have a pretty significant lead, their economy's not exactly fully established just yet, but they don't care. Shrapnel finishes off Dexter, and now they need Sotfik and Patsy to stand tall. Between the 2 of them, they actually have less HP, but you can scratch that one because Patsy's taken off the head of Almazer, and then Jerry joins him in the grave. Now keep an eye over on forZe's economy. It's not ideal. They may even have to save.
Oh, things are getting closer now. I like the boost coming up for Dima, just completely clotheslining Power there. But you're right, forZe. They got some decisions to make coming into this one. And it looks like they do go the conservative route. A Mag 7 coming out for for Face Crack and a bunch of HE grenades. They've already used them, though, early on. I think Espada were very much aware of this low buy, staying very far back. Nice catch, Almazer. And Dima catches one right back.
Game of hot potatoes. Almazer coming out worse on that exchange, but Face Crack with the Mag 7 taking down Patsy will not be able to live any longer, at least from Espada's viewpoint. They even the odds and even the keel, but they're moving in again to the stacked site pot, and we've already seen forZe punish them for these plays.
Yeah, that apartment push from Face Crack with that Mag 7 might have just scarred Espada just enough to make them want to hit B instead. Oh, but as I say that, forZe, they are leaving. They've made a read, but it's the wrong read at the moment as it stands. Sophic, he might even sell this read even more by taking out Flit, but yeah, the Espada members, they know. They're aware. They've sniffed it out. The bomb will be headed towards this B. I say they're aware, but still being very cautious.
It's one of those situations as well, Potter, where even though they did get peeked wide from middle, sometimes teams will go for that when they're actually stacking the other side of the map to try and sell as if they're stacking A, you know? So I understand from Espadas's viewpoint why they would still be very slow on the approach. It does put them into an awkward position where they could have got picked off and things could have got way too close for comfort. But forZe, they went for that gamble stack. It didn't work for them, unfortunately. But my question here, Potter, is, okay, Espada, you've got a little bit of success. That's great. But consistency has not been on their side on their T half. Can they reasonably rinse and repeat these rounds and get us close to 14-14? Because even though forZe have been struggling these last couple of rounds, they still have a vast lead. And if Espada make one mistake, if they aren't on the same page for just a brief moment, that's the map done.
Definitely good questions to be asking. You know, I think Espada, they have been swinging back each time I thought they were getting outplayed across the map. So I think it is clearly obvious that forZe are looking like the more comfortable team on Inferno. They've got a lot more looks and opportunities for themselves. But Espada, they just have this sheer firepower that they're not going to back down. So I think their reactions have been good so far. The fact that they haven't all just died in this banana and they're hitting that A bomb site is looking good for Espada. But oh, the double peek, Dima, that's a nice response. A 1-for-1 there. He's going to be happy with that. And Almazer even gets Molotoved and pushed back. We see Face Crack at the end of this apartments with this Mag 7 again.
Oof. No success this time, Potter. His head has been removed. They've seen it one too many times. I asked about consistency. I asked about connecting the dots, and that certainly is an excellent way to put yourself into an advantageous position. But I will remind the viewers at home that Espada had the vast bulk of the opening picks when they were on the CT side, and they still lost time after time after time. So forZe not out of this just yet, but they have been put into awkward positions. Z-Power forced to basically play A alone with an AWP, and he's stuck on the site. This is a far from ideal position where you definitely don't want to be if you're from his perspective, but he's actually playing more of like a passive role, and I think they're going for that gamble stack again that we saw previously. You stack together on B. If you get pushed, you have a chance of winning. If not, you can save your 3 guns and you can come back in the next round just as strong.
Yeah, we're starting to see that mid-game, the strengths of the mid-game coming through for Espada. We talked about it on Dust too, the fact that they were able to just slow the round down and make forZe make the mistakes. And we're seeing that 3 rounds in a row now coming through for Espada. forZe have gamble stacked the wrong site. I do like the call either way. They were down numbers. And as you say, Vince, Exit Power was just stuck between a rock and a hard place, all alone in that A site with that AWPs. So unfortunate for forZe, but at least they get to save all the weaponry here. And a good look once again for Espada.
Yeah, they're starting to definitely turn a corner after a pretty rough up and down go of it. A lot of rounds coming very close. Obviously, we saw twice 3 players saving back at spawn. This is very unorthodox, not what you expect to see from the T side, but it did allow them more buys. It did allow them more pressure to being applied. And now they're starting to hit a bit of a streak, a bit of a purple patch. Meanwhile, forZe on the back foot are struggling a little bit. They have put down a Deagle and a 5-7. They're more half buys and they can afford into the next round. But Espada are getting into that position where they're going to start to make forZe feel this and sweat it out a little bit. Maybe look over their shoulder. They can no longer take this map for granted. They're going to have to battle and really fight for every single inch, every single scrap of the map.
Flit being boosted in Boiler right now. It's the first time we've seen this coming up from forZe, but oh, Patsy, so ready for it. Finnegan even coming through to trade out Facecrack, who was just there to help out Flit. And Espada, they are swinging back once again. It's those opening kills you mentioned, Vince. They find themselves 5v3 up again, but they're hitting the A side. This is where all the forZe defenses are congregated. Almazer, it's going to be all up to him and Exapower to hold up some sort of a defense here. And Almazer whiffs the initial spray. Jerry's there to back it up, though. A double for him. And Exapower, he's alone. He wasn't able to help out. There was a smoke that just blocked off his vision from that mini pit area. And his 2 teammates, they get pummeled. So Exapower is definitely going to be saving his chops here. But Espada, one more round on the board here, Vince. 14-12. I don't want to say it yet. But it's getting there. It's getting close.
Going through at 14-10, the opening picks were 14 to Espada and 10 to forZe. Even though forZe at that point were leading 14-10. So again, it just goes to show Espada have consistently got the opening picks on both halves of the map. There will be another buy coming in with a saved AWP, so forZe will have a solid purchase at their disposal. But we are getting down to the business end now, Potter, and it does seem to me that the momentum is shifting. Slowly, it hasn't fully swung just yet. But this is definitely on an even keel, and you're starting to see Espada coming together as a united force, pushing the map simultaneously. They look so much more comfortable on this T-half than they did on CT. And Z-Power taking a leaf out the book of Dexter, going down aggressively as they try and take banana control. But again, it's Dima that just stands his ground. Good flashes are being tossed in as well. The rest of his teammates have been Molotov'd away from him. There's another molly been put in place. Dima pulls up the smoke. Won't be spreading fully, and that could bait the CTs into a false sense of security. They may not anticipate the player to be up close. They certainly don't, but the trades go against them. Almazer somehow gets both. He had no right to get 2 from that angle.
Wow, Dima absolutely had the opening there. A whip spray. Flit does not find himself one. Actually gets taken down by Patsy, but Exapower just swinging wide with the USP and follows up with the second one as well. At least Dexter, he might find himself in a post plant. We haven't seen him quite yet with the AWP in a post plant, but this is what AWPers love. Dexter will take these kinds of fights all day long. There he goes. He finds the one, being very mobile. I love the confidence coming up from Dexter. He's not just going to sit back and wait, but this Palace player, this Halls, this might be the crux. Oh, he does get taken out. I say I love the mobility, but in that instance, he probably would have been better off staying in the pit. Either way, there was absolutely a chance for Dexter there in that round.
Yeah, I'm curious if maybe a comm worked against him, if he assumed both players would be rotating away from the A side, in which case that position is really strong. But ultimately, this is the moment, as far as I'm concerned, Potter. Like, the fact that Dima and Sotfik, neither of them killed Almazer, and out of context as well, the contextual element of that is that they threw a Molotov in. It didn't extend to Dima, and so they may have assumed that the mini wall was completely vacant. That should have been a kill. That should have been Espada taking systematic control over Banana and forcing away some of those players from the A side of the map through to B. It wasn't to be. Shoulda, woulda, coulda is often not good enough in Counter-Strike, and now forZe, who did take casualties taking Banana control in the last round, I've got Jerry up close with Almeza providing some overwatch.
Ooh, that smoke is kind of deep. It completely misses the mark. Maybe calculated. It doesn't seem like it. Jerry gets taken out, and so does Almazer. Dexter with a quick response. And again, we find ourselves in this position where Espada are up 5v3. And Face Crack, this is a good angle for him. If Patsy sniffs a little too much, he's going to get his head taken right off. Oh, ooh. Just the shoulder.
That's so unlucky. You don't expect someone to shoulder peek that angle at that kind of a position. And Z-Power was playing the off angle, and ironically, it actually worked against him rather than for him. He kind of had to play a bit of a dicey, risky situation there, though, because he was all alone, basically, with Flit trying to move in. Patsy should have the drop on Face Crack, lives up to that. Does eat a headshot for his troubles, but that's why the AK is a superior rifle. And now Flit, 1-on-5, will be looking to save if he can, but he is stuck in the ruins. And when you look at the economy, apart from Z-Power, this is looking grim, Potter. Espada could be taking us the distance, and I believe the last time these two teams met each other on Inferno, it went to overtime. We could be headed in a similar trajectory.
Flit, he's getting hunted down. Oh, the timing is definitely in his favor in this scenario. Picks up the AK from Finnegan, but he's about to be pinched from all different sides. Dima just seals the deal. Whew, the money is tight, you know. Maybe a hero AWP coming out from X-Power. A lot of decisions to be made for forZe here. The money is kind of all over the place. They've got 2 rounds to play with and work with. Looks like X-Power is going to go with the scout purchase. I definitely like this option better. We've seen him be very successful with the scout and be a lot more aggressive. He's taking a lot more angles with the scout.
It has this run and gun style that we've seen a couple of times already tag a lot of players as they cross down Banana. Thinking better of that decision as they look to draw away a couple of plays. They're putting over Jerry and Z-Power to be. The reason for this is they both have smokes. So it allows them to stall and stagnate this push a little bit longer. Keep an eye on where the bomb is, though, for Espada. It's way back towards the T spawn. So even though they're getting forward positions up on middle, they're not fully investing or committing behind this as a result of keeping Dima on Banana. So he can go back and pick up the bomb if a call comes through. Entry is good onto Almeza, but they have no further information apart from that opening pick. They don't know if this site is stacked. So they will be taking their sweet time. Dima continues to push up Banana. And eventually, they will get the bomb in the hands of Sotfix. So it's looking good for them at least bypassing this half buy in from forZe. Last time they faced each other, which was just a couple of months ago, it went 19-17 in overtime to forZe. So it looks like we could be headed in a similar direction, but forZe will have another bye going through in the last round of regulation. It's a bit of a scrappy encounter, but it will go the way of Espada before Face Crack shows his hand with a 5-7. And if he took that second kill down, maybe there was a way back in for the CTs. As it stands, though, Jerry, 1-on-3, hoping for the best.
Jerry would be really happy for himself if he could find himself a gun. Only 1,500 to his name.
Has moved into apps to see if he can maybe stake a claim on one of these rifles. If he can get an exit, even the better for it. He has done just that, but gets countered straight away. The money is good enough for Espada. They will not care about that. Jerry will have a bite, but maybe missing out on a couple of nades.
He looks a little disgusted right now. But a lot of decisions, you're right, to be made coming into this last round. We're going the full distance, Vince. All 30 rounds. Of course it is. Inferno. It always seems to deliver those nail-biter OTs. That's definitely the last thing forZe want. They do not want to deal with a full bought, full purchased 16K utility game on Inferno.
You mentioned before about how some of the players may look a bit disgusted with how things have come down. Correct me if I'm wrong here, Potter, but at one point this was, what, 14-8 in favor of forZe?
Yeah.
Honestly, they had a vast lead, so...
And a 10-5 first half as well, and a pistol round win.
Exactly. You can understand why they'd be pretty down on themselves right about now. They'll be feeling like they should have already put this map to bed and we should be headed to a third.
Ooh, Dima gets taken out. And Exapower, he's going to keep going for more.
Well then, the plot thickens. Just when we thought the forZe had run out of steam, they put up 2 kills already, both to Z Power, and in doing so have given themselves a great opportunity to close this map off. Finnegan now falls prey to Jerry, and it's only Patty that can stand, but for only a couple more seconds, down he goes, and Topvik is the next to fall. We do head to Mirage after all. They may have gone the long way around, Potter. They may have really struggled in parts, but Mirage will be our final destination of our second best of 3. forZe just about get the job done.
And it's just fitting to see that it's Exapower that seals the deal right there at the end with that AWP, the long lines of Banana coming through. And I'm glad we're getting to a third map. I thought Dust 2, it was neck and neck. This Inferno was so neck and neck, and I expect Mirage to be just the same.
As do I. We'll find out if it will be, but first we're going to head to the desk after this break.
Well, after what was a fairly close match in the end, it was closed out by the side of forZe, but it was one where we sort of sat there looking at it and going, they were almost letting that one slip away, Blair. The CT side a little bit questionable when it came to some of the decisions towards the end. And wow, although they had some pretty good performances, Almeza stepping up to the plate, Flit also having a very good first half. It wasn't quite as clean as maybe we expected it to be after some of their recent Inferno performances.
Yeah, for sure. Like when you're 14-8 up and you kind of have a stranglehold on the economy, you're looking that good, you should be trying to close it out as quickly as possible. Credit to Espada, though. They dug in pretty deep there, managed to make it a bit competitive at the end. But for me, it was the entire story was the first half, right? It was forZe just running away. That B-bomb side was a problem for the side of Espada. They didn't know how to hold it. It wasn't forZe trying anything too crazy, nothing too creative. It's just like going for simple executes, out dueling them, just holding W, kind of taking a page out of Furious book and working out for them. What's interesting for me is the entry duels being won by Espada. They won 19 compared to the 11 of forZe. And despite that, it was 14-8 actually initially for a bit there, going the way of forZe. So forZe having struggled with the entries on both maps, Dust 2 and Inferno, but over here they were able to kind of recover in those 4v5 scenarios.
Yeah, maybe a little bit worrying when it comes to the map coming up. Obviously, duels are going to be fairly important when it comes to Mirage. But I believe, Maui, that from what we saw within this map, at least in the first half, forZe looked fairly comfortable on the T side. And some of the reads they had actually seemed to be quite good. I believe you have a replay for that.
Yeah, so hopefully let's just get into that one, actually. So this was actually a good mid-round from Jerry. He recognizes that his team is boxed in at Banana. Instead of just wide swinging here, he tells Almeza, hey, okay, let's construct this run boost, and it actually pays off. Dexter was down middle. Great frag on the side of forZe there, and Dexter, he just didn't stand a chance at that point. Good stuff from him. And Jerry and forZe, this is the map where there is a huge discrepancy between their T and their CT side, because in the last 3 months, actually, they are 56% win percentage on the T side and a 47% win percentage on the CT side. So we could see why. Their T side was significantly better. And you have to draw into question, though, how they like to try to get back into rounds when it's a 4v4. How do they prod for Invo? Because a lot of the times it was done by individuals. I will call out Facecrack here a little bit because he was just peeking by himself a lot. And there needs to be better ways, especially on Mirage, for them to try to get back into rounds. Because if they do lose that opening pick, which The other team, Espada, has been dominating. They need to find ways to take control of the map safely and consistently.
Well, you mentioned Mirage, and that is where we are going to be heading, Maui. It will, of course, be our powerful new duo of Big V and Little P bringing you that matchup. So we're going to be enjoying Mirage. Make sure you join us after the break.